Good night, Belizeans at home and abroad. This is the Belizean Affairs Show number 436. 436. We're happy to have you along with us for tonight's program. Uh, we will be presenting a, a new host, co-chairman for the program tonight. Uh, I will start out initially because we're running a little late, by the way, and I'll do some of the preliminaries. As for example, I'm doing or a short prayer in the beginning of the program or scripture reading, hoping to give a little opportunity for the chairman to reach his destination. And if that be the case, then we'll be blessed by his presence and what will be bringing to the table. He has a full plate tonight, based on what he has informed me about. And I'm personally looking forward to it, and I'm sure that most of you Belizeans at home and abroad and others can benefit by being graced with some positive public benefits from his program tonight. Uh, I don't see any of my other colleagues um, in the background yet, so I'll just proceed and I'll bow my head and do the short prayer. Divine loving Father, thou who art the creator of heaven and earth and all that in them are, as well as our creator, we commend ourselves into thy hand, asking that thou would continue to bless us, guide us, protect us, and to continue to be merciful unto us, undeserving sinners. We pray, loving Father, that thou would bless our family members, friends, and loved ones, each and every one of them, wherever they are, as if they were mentioned by name and number. We also pray that thou would bless our country of Belize, its people and leadership. We pray that thou must bless the people and leadership of this country as well, and that thou would bless the rest of humanity. Be merciful unto them all, especially those who have need of food and clothes and shelter, and those who are in war zones, who are being hurt, sometimes being killed, losing their lives and uh, limbs for no justifiable reason. We pray that thou must continue to abide with us as we present this program tonight, loving Father. May it accrue to thy benefit and to thy glory and to the benefits of our people of Belize as well. For we ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you very much. I'll just proceed with a short reading as well. And let me see, what chapter is this? I'm going to be reading from the book of Luke, and I'm going to take up uh, Luke chapter 23, verses 28 and 29, and maybe 30. And verse 28 starts as follows. But Jesus, turning unto them, said, Daughters of Jerusalem, weep not for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. For behold, days are coming in the which they shall say, Blessed are the barren and the womb that never bare it, and the pups which never gave suck. Verse 30. Then shall they begin to say to the mountains, Fall on us, and to the hills, cover us. For if they do not these things in a green tree, what shall be done in the dirt, in the dry? And that is the reading for tonight's program. Thank you very much for being patient and allowing me to indulge in that part of our process. Um, I don't see anyone else right now in the background yet, so I'll just proceed. Uh, I do not wish to tamper with the agenda for the chairman. He sent me uh, the the co-chairman for tonight sent me a list of things that he wants to use as his for his presentation purpose, and I don't wish to try and jump ahead of him in terms of those specific items. So I'll just, in the meantime, express a sense of disappointment that we're having so much mayhem going on in our country of Belize, small little country by the way. The amount of shootings and killings and the mayhem that's going on is intolerable and unreasonable. All the accidents that we're having as well, all over the highways and the roads, you know, you have people disappearing, you can't find them, you don't know where they are, what happens to them. When they do find some of them, they're dead, and the vultures are flying all around, giving notice of their presence there. And it grieves me a lot, to see that as beautiful as our country is, as docile and caring and loving as a society, especially when I grew up, during the time that I was growing up, people could leave their doors open without any fear. As a matter of fact, I remember we used to have some people would have like an outside door and an inside door. The outside door would be two halves, okay? So they can open up the top half to let some air come into the building, into the house, and they can leave the lower half with a latch closed so that the kids they don't go out, you know, into the streets and get hurt. And today you can't do that kind of thing anymore. You leave your door open, you're liable to be bomb rushed. You're liable to have somebody rush into your house and assault you. You know, so it's a tragedy. And it seems like it's not. We're not going to get a reprieve of that type of behavior because it's getting worse and worse. And as much as we on this particular show, before our program starts, we always indulge ourselves in the belief that by us giving a cautionary statement out there to the general public, that somehow or another, our little bit will help. But maybe it's all about wishful thinking. We're hoping that it would, because we aren't seeing the results or the outcome yet in regards to the level of mayhem that's going on. So I would like to ask our Belizeans at home and abroad, pray for our country. Try to do the best you can to help who you can when you can, and take the rest to the Lord in prayer. And on that particular point, I'll stop that part of the ranting, and I'll just go into. Just let me verbalize something else here for a change. Let me see. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to take a few seconds to launch the other part of the program. I hadn't launched the other part of the program. I'm ranting on, I'm running on, trying to fill up the space for right now, but in so doing, I'm neglecting some of our other listeners, who listen to us on the other platforms. So just give me a few, give me a minute or so. Let me send this stuff live as well and make some small changes. Let's see. Yeah, that's correct. Let's see. Edit, edit, edit. Yeah, I'm gonna edit. Okay, okay. Just a minute. Yeah, I don't see. Let's see. Information number 26. Just a second, I'll be with you. 26. Close it. Okay, let's take care of that. Oh, let me see, save so I don't lose it. Okay, I took care of that. A little bit of housekeeping. So for right now, I'm ready to roll and pick up temporary fill in. Okay, I'm searching for something here, so please just bear with me for another couple of seconds. Wouldn't be too long. I've been posting quite a few items recently, and I'm just trying to search for something that I needed here specifically. Oops. Okay, no, I don't want that one. I'm sorry. Hold the macros. Okay, so I have so much stuff that I posted recently that it's taking a while to go through all. Okay, I think I might be able to use this one. Uh, uh, this is some of what the chairman indicated he will be talking about tonight, and I decided to go and find this particular article that I had written that relates to the same subject matter. Of course, when the chairman is available, we'll just expand a little bit more on the particular point. Uh, just a second, let me see. I think I got. Okay, that's all right. Okay, so on March 24th of this year, I wrote the following comments. The following comments were made by Leonard Brackett to Mr. Jeremy A. Enriquez. On Mr. Enriquez, I got to be tentative to see when any of the other panelists shows up. So every once in a while, I'll stop what I'm doing and just check the screen to see that they're not there sitting down in the background while I'm ranting on. Anyhow, the following comments were made by Leonard Brackett to Mr. Jeremy A. Enriquez. On Mr. Enriquez's and lawyer senior counsel, Mr. Anand Ramlogan's successful appeal to the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ. I titled the item Enriquez and Ramlogan's CCJ Vindication. I said, Mr. Jeremy Enriquez, let me put this up a little higher. Congratulations and thanks to you and your team, my dear esteemed learned patriot, icon, and venerable brother and vanguard of Belize, on your persistence and dedicated, successful, no, nobody's dead, uh, successful effort at the Caribbean Court of Justice to gain vindication as an advocate for yourselves and our Belizean people on our rule of law, democracy, and the preeminence of Belize Constitution and our country's patrimony, Belize. I went on to say to the good gentleman, I predicted and expected such results or outcome during our Belizean affairs shows because of the local Belize Supreme Court, High Court, and Appellate Court failure to vindicate and abide and rule by, by the prescripts of the Belize Constitution. That is, the Belize Constitution is the supreme law of the land as per Section 2, subsection 1. I still don't see any other panelists. I went on to say to Mr. Enriquez, God's continuous blessings on you and rest of family, always, my dearest team Leonard brother. And I close up with some emoji. Mr. Enriquez retorted back to my statement to him, and he said, Thank you very much, Mr. Leonard Brackett. Your kind compliments are encouraging. The struggle continues. And yes, the struggle continues because that matter that he had taken to court initially had been bantered around for quite a while without any success. I recall Mr. Wade, who is one of our next senior panelists on this show, was one of the primary litigants that took the second case to court, only to have the judge sit on the case and play games with the case. Then we had a previous case that was taken up by Mr. I think it was Mr. Parker Smith and another group of individuals who were trying to get the government to follow the Constitution as per Section 90 of the Constitution of Belize, which requires that each division in the country should be apportioned in such a way that each division will have equal or nearly as equal a number of registered voters or plebiscites. And as we all know, and in particular, I personally have been flagging this horse from 1997 when Mr. Esquivel was Prime Minister, and we had the last election that he had lost. Prior to him losing that election, I was putting out a report about the election possibilities, as to who would win what seat, how many votes each individual would probably get, and who then would become the next government to fill the term that was upcoming at that time in 1997. The UDP went on to lose that election to the PUP under Mr. Musa, and they came in and didn't follow up and do anything about it either. The end result is that from then till now, almost 30 years to be, well, as a matter of fact, yeah, about 30 years almost. They have not had a proper redivisioning and adequate reapportionment. And the current government in power now for a second term, before they won their first term, they promised that they were going to take care of that particular matter. And they never followed through and did what was supposed to be done. Even as of today, yet after we have taken them to court in three different occasions on the same pressing matter. They take our treasury and they pay these high class lawyers to go to the court and how and pull the system, promise the court that they're going to do certain things. They turn around and just kill time and act in such onerous ways in the instance as to have lied to the court because they knew normally from then that they were not going to follow through what they were promising to the court. Now they come again and promise that they're going to get it done before the end of this year. They stall for time, allow the time to go past, and because nobody can grab them by the ear and force them to go and do their job, which they actually are being paid for anyway, right? They're collecting the money to do the job, but they're not doing the job. So that means that they're actually acquiring funds. I see someone in the background. It's the chairman. So I'll just stop my rant and just pay attention and try to bring him in on the show and turn the show over to. So, good night, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening, sir. Sorry
Good
for
evening.
my tardiness. I had
No problem,
some
sir. No,
some
I know you have to hustle, you have to work hard with that traffic. That evening traffic is not funny.
yes,
So
especially on Fridays.
yes, sir. So I just want to ask if you take over the show. Please give yourself a minute to self-identify
Yes,
and decide how you're going to run it. No, I
yes.
yield back. I yield, sir.
Good evening, and thank you, Mr. Brackett, and good evening to
You're welcome, sir.
all of our people out there, whether they be residing in Belize or throughout the diaspora, the wide area of Belizeans as we disperse all across this globe. It's always a pleasure being here with you guys and to share my thoughts and panel ideas and to kind of move on in trying to address issues that affects us all as Belizeans and as people living throughout the world. There are many issues that and everything comes up and affects us. This evening, there are quite a few things I want to kind of throw out there, and we'll see how many and what we get to in the moments and time we have, because we see a lot of issues with as Belize being a member of CARICOM. We see a lot of uprising on it recently with the issues of the the Trinidad and Tobago, as they are concerned about how the Secretary General was elected, and then we have issues with their position with Venezuela and Guyana, and so those are some of the things I want to talk about, and then we also had leading into that was pretty much the Minister of Immigration address to the United Nations, Mr. Musa. And then, we also recently saw some issues of a police officer involvement with some domestic violence and some abuse of a young child. Those are all issues that are important and relevant to all of us in Belize. And we constantly get the issue in Belize of crime and murder and it's just kind of throws us back to moving forward and look like we're progressing when we have this constant level of violence and disruption in the society. And it affects us and causes us so much angst and so much in dollars and even in potential goodwill and some of the things that we like to share the tranquility of the land in Belize. And then I want to kind of, if we have some time, talk about the issue of redistricting a little bit and to kind of revisit some comments that Mr. Jeremy Enriquez had made in their mandala regarding how we need to move forward and how we need to hold our government accountable in this effort, because it is an issue, if not done and done properly, correctly, it affects and impacts the very essence of our lives in Belize, and the tranquility and the proper representation of our nation. And then I saw some concerns recently about whether the mayors of the city or the mayors in the local municipalities and cities in Belize are, how rightly are they entitled to a pension fund payment after just serving 2 years of or two terms as mayor, while most of the people within the municipalities may not even qualify for a pension of any type, and
Hmm.
and 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 so we just want to look at this from that level of fairness to all. So those are some of the things. But then when and if we have time, I want to look, because Belize is being impacted by this Iran-U.S. war, and it caused the what was almost a bus strike because of the inaffordability of diesel fuel and gasoline and other petrochemical material that and so that had caused some concerns for us because of the high prices, and so we need to realize and come to the grips that these issues have significant impact on small country states like Belize. So those are some of the things I want to look at, and then right on our doorstep we have the virus, Hanaka virus, that is plaguing that cruise ship in the Canary Islands. And I remember at one point we had, this was during the Ebola crisis, Belize had some passengers that were kind of not feeling well and had suspected, because of that epidemic that was going on, that they may have had infections, and there were issues about could the United States come and get its citizens, and and um, and at that time the Prime Minister, I believe, had told them they couldn't come on the soil of Belize. And so these are real national issues and concerns that affect countries, and particularly small states like Belize, however they play out, and they're global issues. So I wanted to touch bases on some of those issues, Mr. Brackett, and you know, we'll see how it works and go from that point. Is how I'm planning on addressing some
Okay,
of the
okay.
issues.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to participating on some of the topics that you brought up. I mean, they're very timely, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, and
I can't wait till we get us to one or two of them.
yeah, I hope we could get. I threw them out there so that we can think about it and see what we can come up with, right? You know, on the issue of CARICOM, we have been having the constant issue of the bickering and back and forth with with CARICOM and Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister, and a few other countries have stepped in with some degree of concern. Mr. Richards, the ambassador, had stepped in, uh, probably thinking that the Secretary General, who's a Belizean, should probably consider resigning. There was a recent issue also with Guyana, where because of the claim with Venezuela and some discussion that Venezuela president had with the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, and in the backdrop there was some reference to the islands of Guyana that is claimed by Venezuela, and it's a very similar situation of claim posed based on previous uh, ownership by colonial power, right? And this was because Spain had been given this region, and Venezuela assumed after their independence that they would then be entitled to those territories. So very similar to Belize and Guatemala in terms of how that claim is structured. Juris decisis, is that how you claim it, Mr. Uterus?
Uh, what is the point that you were saying?
Well, I was talking about the assumption of the territory that, as Guatemala claimed Belize, same as because of Spain inheritance, and the same as Venezuela.
Venezuela trying to do the same with Guyana. Uh,
Yeah.
can I speak to that for a minute, if you don't mind?
Yes, please go
Couple of
ahead.
statements. Uh, First of all, in regards to the similarity between Venezuela wanting to inherit what Venezuela believed was rightfully belonging to Spain. I don't know by what uh, legal or God-given prerogatives. That is to say, for example, the Pope had no God-given authority to tell Spain to take over half of our world that they, the Europeans, never knew anything about, take it away from the indigenous people, just because the indigenous people are supposedly, according to them, backwards. God did not empower the Pope to make any such decision. The Pope made that decision based on the fact that Columbus took back gold and silver and other trinkets to tell them that there was so much more left that they could have sent their people from over there, from Europe, to come over here and dispossess these people over here because they were so easily, um, they were ripe for the pickings then, in other words.
Yeah.
And the Pope told them, okay, he was going to give them the authority to go and take the place in the name of the Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand, and with the seal and authority of the Pope. That is that they was going to send some of the missionaries with the next group of people, and they will come in the name of the Pope to civilize the people. And if they don't want to be civilized with the cross, then they will just turn the cross around and use it as a spear to slaughter them.
Hmm.
And that's effectively what took place over many decades. But uh, the Pope, this what they call the Treaty of Tordesillas, is where this discussion that I'm talking about was happening, when they gave half of the Western Hemisphere, the so-called newly discovered hemisphere, half of it to Portugal, which is from Brazil going down, and the other half coming up north to Spain. As I indicated earlier, the Pope had no God-given right as a Pope to invest or authorize those people to come, because in the Bible it says, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's good, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill." So I don't understand how that particular Pope would have found it within himself to justifiably say in the name of God that he is sending this mercantile group of people to come and slaughter these other people to take over their possession. That doesn't square with the Christianity that I'm familiar with. But anyhow, that's a different point. As regards to Belize, it was the same thing. How can Spain give to Guatemala what Spain had no control over at the time when Guatemala became independent? And Guatemala could not subsume it onto itself or take it over by itself. Why? Because we had the British looking out for our interests at that time, until now that they turned it over to us and gave us our own independence to control it. So from way back, when they had said that they wanted to uh, get help with their territory and their borderlines, Guatemala was the one that really wanted to have a true borderline, a settled borderline, which is why they entered into that agreement with the British under the Anglo-Guatemalan Treaty, because the filibusters them and the American people, they were going down there. They took over Nicaragua. They were about to take over Salvador and also Honduras, and Guatemala was next in line. And Guatemala wanted to control all those other Central American republics. So they wanted to have a settled border, which is why they entered into the agreement. Now they come with their crazy self telling the new generation of Belizeans who not supposed to know enough about their history that, oh, Guatemala had actually entered into the agreement, but on the basis of allowing Belizeans to get more than half of Belize territory in exchange for a road, one cart road at that. And that's what now all knucklehead leaders are falling prey on, to say that because the British didn't build them the road, that now we need to be at the ICJ. Do Belizeans don't know that all Belize roads go from Belize City to to um to Melchor de Mencos, and that the Guatemalans have been given money by the British to build roads from Guatemala City to Melchor de Mencos? It appears that all so-called leaders are unaware of that. So for all intents and purposes, the so-called Carrot Road that they are beefing about and wanting us to go to the ICJ to contest the whole of Fui territory on, which according to international law should not be happening in the first place. So we're just there for Guatemala to take one extra bite at the apple. But the bottom line is that that Carrot Road had been superseded by asphalt and paved highway, 4-lane highway in Guatemala and 2-lane highway in Belize, much more sophisticated than any damn cart road. So why are we then being sued about a cart road? Or why are we falling prey to that? Because our people are, that is just the latest version of trying to dispossess Belizeans of Belize. Before now, they had a different agenda and it was a different story. It was all about, well, the British stole the land from them, and now that they're more powerful than us as an independent Belize, they want to take it back from us. They put it in their constitution that Belize belongs to them and they will get it by reason or by force. And they can't get it by force because we still have the British directly and indirectly looking after our interests. And now they have probably gotten to the point where they have allowed so much of their people to migrate into Belize that the demography of Belize has changed substantively to where they don't have to fire a bullet now. They can vote us in our own country. Are you back, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I hear what you're saying there, Mr. Brackett. And I, for one, am very glad that we never actually built that cart road at that time. Otherwise, Belize would today probably not
Worse
exist.
off, it would have been a
As
worse one we have right now.
Yeah. So, but I want to kind of see where we are a little bit with um, with CARICOM
Yeah, I just
countries.
I was about to mention that I'd forgotten to touch that part, as a part of this overall concept, no? But because
Okay.
I went down to the comparison of the Belize,
Yeah.
Guatemala, Venezuela, Guyana,
Yes.
and I stuck with that.
I'll give you another bite at it because
Thank,
that's one of the area I want to kind of look
thank you,
at
Mr.
because
Chairman.
it has become very touchy um, uh, in a way since Belize is now in the Secretary General, the chairmanship of it, and
I have a quaint, I would say a quaint take on the whole of that stuff, because what it's turning out to be is not what it started out as, you know. And I would like to, at some point, when you're finished, I know you're just setting up the bar just now, so I
yeah.
don't want to tread on your toes. I'll just wait my
Okay,
turn.
okay. No. I was gonna say because we do have Belize as the Secretary General of the organization right now, and Trinidad and Tobago president is constantly leaning that probably some decisions were made that did not include all member states in an appropriate manner with notification, and therefore the appointment is illegal, and they have made some strong comments about their contribution, which they indicated. I think they said they contribute about 22% of the of the fund organization funding. I'm not sure about that, but that's what the claim is. And sometimes you have to take those claims. You don't know if that's the total budget or if that's just a budget for a certain segment of their support
Uh,
for certain organizations with
can,
or certain.
can I weigh in on that particular point before we add
Yes,
something
sir.
else?
Yes, sir.
Part of my quaint perspective of this issue is that Trinidad and Tobago president. Okay, let me preempt something else before that. I was trying to go straight to the meat of the bone, no, the meat and the bone, but there needs to be a clarification. Miss Barnett, as the current Secretary General, nobody had any problem when she was first elected. Okay, everybody thought that she has been doing a good job. In fact, the issue is not with her and her performance. The issue is one of a red herring that was brought up and has been changed since then to something else now. But initially, what happened is that there were other people who thought that they should have a shot at putting up their own persons or own individuals, to become the Secretary General. And when the majority voted in favor of Ms. Barnett to continue for a second term, those people who wanted to put up their persons got disappointed. Now, it is true that one of the leaders, because according to the process, is that when these major decisions are made, it's supposed to be made at the head of state level and hopefully with everybody present. They were notified that a meeting was going to be had for head of state, and the head of state, in this case, for Guyana, chose not to show up. She chose to go and deal with some other matters to her that was more pressing than this. While these other people came to the meeting and she didn't show up, and she wanted to send a subordinate officer of hers, who is not the head of state. That meeting was not just a regular meeting for just any Tom, Dick, and Harry to show up and represent whoever the delegates them. That was not that type of meeting. It's a meeting that the head of state make the decision.
I
She chose
think
to have
let me just add something
sense.
there.
Go ahead, Mr. Sherman.
It was the foreign minister, but then the foreign minister apparently did not even take part because he said he suffered from seasickness, and they were
Yeah,
going to have the
that,
discussion on the boat
that's what
transit
was said
ferry.
before.
Yeah,
That was the excuse given before,
yeah.
which was not true either, because we found that out after the fact. Now, with 2020 hindsight, we're able to validate that those things were just red herring, like I indicated earlier. But the bottom line is that somebody had an intention and a wish to put up their one candidate, and because the majority of the people in that particular meeting went ahead, made the decision to have Miss Barnett stay on, you know, the issue was that Trinidad and Tobago was trying to, well, indeed, as you mentioned earlier, they were footing a big part of the budget for the community. Okay, but that doesn't mean that means that they're supposed to go around and do like what they're doing here in America. America financed the United Nations, therefore they must kick the United Nations in the teeth anytime they want to, and that should be well accepted. You know, and that's what happened. They decided to want to play leverage game after the fact because they embarrassed themselves. They did not show up for the meeting. The meeting was had at the least they could do was ask to have the meeting. I mean, the agenda for the meeting be dealt with at another, call for another conference then, right? And have
Yes,
the
yes.
matter be dealt with. But that's not what they want. They just wanted Miss Barnett. They wanted to sully Miss Barnett to get rid of her so somebody else can become available. That is what the crux of the matter was. And they have been doing that and going along with it. And at the end of the day, now they're saying that, well, why should the whole CARICOM break up over just one Secretary General who is not, I mean, does not have the power or authority, or she's not the only person that could occupy or serve in that capacity. They're still insisting and want to have her out of the way so that they can run with their agenda. And that's unfair and unreasonable. That's untenable. That's not how an organization such as CARICOM should be operating. You have to have good faith. And whenever you interject deviousness in the process. You know, at the minimum, ask for another meeting and then have the people then vote again and decide instead of making this thing as stink as they're making it. Then they are threatening the other ones them, and then, like the whole issue is that
But it raised
is that, I'm sorry,
yeah.
are you back? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say that was one issue, but then it also showed up a little bit more discord again, on this time with Venezuela. Um, then challenging,
Mhm.
well, Venezuela presenting a map in a backdrop, showing the area of Guyana that they claim, while members of not CARICOM themselves, but a CARICOM state member, um, then taking good deal concessions and agreements with Venezuela, which
The latest,
offended Guyana. But I don't see how that affects CARICOM as an
it
organization.
shouldn't
That
because
affects the individual state.
Mr. Chairman, it shouldn't affect nothing because Venezuela under Hugo Chavez and this other gentleman that just got kidnapped the other day, Venezuela has
Maduro.
been, yeah, Maduro. Venezuela has been very generous to almost all the CARICOM members, them, okay? Regardless of the Essequibo issue, which is unto itself, you
Yes,
know, a no-no as far as I'm concerned as well, right? But
yes,
um, that was only used because Chile, um,
Guyana,
not Guyana, Miss Markley, countryman,
Barbados.
Barbados. That was only put in there that in other words as a mischief making issue, right? Because that issue has been going on long before this present thing with Miss Barnett. They're
Yes,
trying to
yes,
create mischief on top of mischief on top of mischief to destroy the community. Ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what it's about because members of those communities are in favor of trying to steer a support or provide support to Cuba. And with the US government, with the level of pressure and powers that they can bring to bear on those other small Caribbean countries, Miss how do you name Trinidad and Tobago? I forgot.
yeah.
But
This
anyhow, she's trying to curry favor with the US, okay? And in so doing, she don't care if the whole damn thing blows up, which is unfortunate and unreasonable, okay? And then she expect that, okay, well, everybody must bow to her because they provide a substantive amount for it. In other words, if they withdraw their contribution to the community will have to find somewhere to get that contribution.
well,
It's
I
not concerned with
from what I understand, Trinidad and Tobago also achieve great market share and benefits
from
being a
all of
member
us,
of CARICOM.
from all of us.
Yeah. So it's not like it's a one-way thing. They're buying and paying for benefits that they're obtaining, and it's not like just a gift to CARICOM. It is fine, um, paying to maintain the organization that provides a stable market for their produce at a great surplus
To
to their
them,
country.
yeah. So, no, but what I mean is that they're trying to save their face now after they created this thing that they created without justification, okay? Once they were exposed and their hands was exposed from the initial challenge that they were trying to make, they went into something else. Now, with this issue with the Essequibo era and the contesting of that era between Venezuela and
Guyana.
Guyana, there's no reason why Venezuela should be doing that to Guyana in the first place, other than the fact that because they're a bigger country and,
Yes,
right makes right, according to them.
yes,
Okay? And then we understand that Spain couldn't take some of those places. They hope that they can be better and better, bigger and better than Spain now, and they could take it now. Okay? And there was no reason for them to back into that after the Venezuelan vice president made the offer Belize. Offer was made to Belize too, and Belize benefited to about over $600 million worth of Petrocaribbean success, in addition to other things that Hugo Chavez had given to Belize.
yes.
So they can go back and say, well, because Belize and Venezuela and Hugo Chavez had a good relation, it means then that they should not have elected Miss Lady in the first place at all. Okay, they should have disqualified Miss Barnett from way back then on that basis. But it's a different scenario going on right now. One of where this lady is trying to curry favor, you know, at the expense of the organization, and then they're talking bad about the other people, and that has nothing to do with their problem. Miss Barnett never elected herself. That the majority of the people in that has the right to do that election elected her, and didn't elected the person that they would have liked. The other people, Miss from Trinidad and Tobago, that they would have liked to have nominated and put up. Okay, so all the first part of the bite that they took at the apple was to try and block the nomination or send it back or turn around and say, well, she should just resign for peace sake. It's
Do you,
high,
thi- do you
high
think do you
power.
think do you think Trinidad and Tobago blame the Secretary General because of the pressure that they felt that CARICOM was leaning on them when Trinidad and Tobago was making overture to the
The US,
Trump administration
yes,
to, to
that's what I'm
support
saying.
to
That's
support the
that's
boat the
precisely my
boats
point.
that they were shooting at.
That's precisely my point. I did not go into details in terms of the specifics on each and every, but that's it's a foreign affairs issue and foreign powers' interests and the bigger powers' interests over the powers of the smaller countries. And Trinidad and Tobago was leaning because promises was made to them. Okay, that's how the process works. Promises were made to them, and they will backstop the promises that was made to them by the bigger powers, you know, to justify what was going on. And not everybody was in tow with that particular foreign affairs perspective. Many of the members of the CARICOM was not in agreement with what she was proposing and trying to pull off. But she was in good standings in terms of, you know, um, having a good relations with Mr. Rubio and the U.S. government to facilitate the U.S. government to achieve what the U.S. government was trying to do. So, I mean, that's her prerogative. She's the head of her own state. Okay,
Yeah, and
she can't
countries have
use.
to look out for
Yeah,
what they
yeah.
feel is their individual interests and where
Stand up,
that benefit comes from.
stand up like a strong woman as she really supposed to be, and just bite the bullet and say, well, this is my interest, and this is the reason why I think that I have to fall in line with this process and do certain things. Even
And
though
she
members of
did say
CARICOM,
that she did say that.
well, in a different way.
Let me just say this point. She did
Yeah.
say that because she did point out that the drug trafficking situation and the crime on the island that was caused from drug trafficking was severe, and I think their murder rate was up like 300 something plus individuals directly related to drugs and so forth. And so she did express that our concerns and our interest is more impacted than maybe how you guys are or how you want to consider your interests. And we believe that by supporting the Trump administration policies that was going on with regarding to extinguishing those um, boats that were out there
The whole of
was
that,
was in their national interest.
yeah, but the whole of that issue about drugs was a red herring, and everybody knows that who's been paying attention and who know anything about foreign affairs and foreign issues. That was just a cover talking about the drugs and about those boats that they shoot up, that they were drug boats and all kind of. It could have been drug boat, but those drug boats are not the ones that are carrying all the. Let me say something here on this program right now. Most of the drug that's coming into the United States is not being brought in by foreigners. Okay, that's the
Hmm.
perception that is being conveyed out there. It is being brought in by people who have the connections over here to receive the drug and peddle the drug when it's over here already. Okay, the people that are bringing the drugs them into this country, they own planes, they control the big shipping companies, they control. They are big people. They are the people that sit up in those big um, board meetings and so on in those big high rises. Okay,
Yeah.
it's not only Bakatong kids on the corner who are peddling to make $5, $10 that are bringing those things in. They don't have the gravitas. They don't have the wherewithal. They don't want no trains, no planes, no boats, no nothing. Everything is being controlled by big wigs. Anyhow, it's not like I'm saying
Um,
anything new anyhow, or
yeah,
something
yeah.
most people
Well,
do.
well, well. Those are some of the concerns that
Yeah.
the prime minister had, and we see that Barbados was able to sign some agreements with Venezuela at that sitting with Mia Motley
So
and the
did Belize.
president.
Belize did the same thing.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying they were able to come to some agreement and to find ways where they could make investment in Venezuela.
Because the Venezuelan vice president is trying to curry favor. You know these people, they need the money, or they need the gas, or they need the relief. Okay,
Hmm.
so she won't provide that relief for them in exchange for the same thing like what we do right now with Taiwan.
Yes.
Taiwan, they provide for we relief to we in Belize in exchange for us voting on their favor or keeping them in the diplomatic circle,
Yeah.
and giving them our support. That's what
Hmm.
most countries do. That's part of foreign affairs that countries deal with.
Yeah.
United
Diplomatic
States does that.
relationship. Yes.
Yeah, they give people money, they give him money. You know. But anyhow, the quaint perspective, as I mentioned, that I had was about, because I understand a lot more about the details of the geopolitics, as well as um, the whole thing about the drug thing and so on. And that drug thing was just a show, or a canard to use as a justification to gain control of the world's largest known deposits. Okay, Venezuela have the world's largest, more than Saudi Arabia. Okay, and it was about getting control of those resources, and to have the American companies that were there before be able to go back there and deal with the matters. It's all about resource. Can't kill one brother, he able to take a able resource. Can't never have what he able had, and he kill the brother because of jealousy out over material things. And that's been happening for thousands and thousands of years throughout the whole history of humanity. That's what it's all about. Always one being somebody being jealous of somebody else about what somebody else have that they want. King David send the lady husband that the front line to down and get her killed so he could inherit the lady.
Hmm.
That's not what they did with. Nothing new.
Yeah, most definitely. And leading into this was the presentation by the Minister of Immigration, Mr. Musa at the United Nations, where he talked about Belize being a nation of immigrants, welcoming of immigrants. I don't know that we're necessarily a nation. We were a nation of immigrants, but we definitely have become
He's
one.
trying to justify their criminal and treacherous conduct that they are carrying on right now in the country, which is to be onerous and malignant and malicious towards the local Belizeans them, while they are so-called pretending to be accommodating migrants and other people who need somewhere to go,
Yeah.
which I wouldn't have
Um,
a problem with. But they are doing all of that
at a cost,
at,
at a,
at
at
the
a
expense
tremendous cost. At a
of not doing any of that for the local people. If you could
yeah,
do for strangers, you do for yourself and you won. That's all
yeah,
I'm saying.
yeah,
I don't have a problem with people coming
yeah.
and being able to make a living.
He did make a point, and I think if he had followed through and be truly transparent, because he did mention that Belize had just recently regularized some 13,000 immigrants, uh,
It's more
and
than that.
made them nationals of our country. But if he had mentioned that Belize population was just 400,000, and we start seeing how this affects the demographics and the viability of our state, it would sharply start put everybody heads into thinking of what would happen to a country over a very short period of time if
But
we
that's what they're trying to do. It's an agenda. It's not something that's happening because they don't realize or recognize or understand or they're not competent enough to. It's part of an agenda. And all they're trying to do is soft focus, and they don't want us to speak to these issues because it sounds bad, right? But they're pushing it down our throats. It's unfair and unreasonable. Our people are not being governed correctly with any sense of, you know, any reprieve. Villages have a lot of problems. So why are we going to be so generous to accept more problems on top of the problems that we have while we are neglecting our own? Because these people that they're bringing in, for example, it's a massive amount of people. It's not a small amount of people.
yeah.
And we are signing agreements to allow them to bring in whoever they want, whenever they want. It's like these guys are selling out our patrimony lock, stock, and barrel for them to get a little hustle on the side and for them to get a little visa.
Well, it is a significant issue. As I said, if he had mentioned what our population was, then we'd start seeing the impact of what is being done to our country by our leadership. Um, we realize that while we do need population to make things of scale, to get that economic of scale and to create businesses and be able to view as having appropriate labor market that could attract industries and stuff. We are doing it, like you said, Mr. Brackett, in a wrong way that disenfranchise and does not do anything to promote the
The local,
local nationals of the country. And this doesn't matter whether it's they're Creole or Garifuna or local
they're not
indigenous
Indian for free.
Indian Mayans or East Indian Belizean. Uh, it's none of those. That it's not done in any way to promote them and to bring harmony to those people that have long.
That is the problem. That is the real problem.
Yeah.
Okay, that is the problem. That they're not affording the people who exist there the opportunity to come out of this malignant state of impoverishment with a 68% poverty index rate, and they are piling up more on top of us without any revenues to account for the difference. Those people need schools, they need medicals, they need housing, they need food, they need, until they could fend for themselves, somebody have to provide for them.
Well, the first thing we do when we get them, we give them a lot or we give them a couple acres of land.
And
And
Belizeans, they are 10, 20 years to wait for a these small piece of something.
yes,
And I said, well, they're not give the Belizean because as soon as they get it, they go sell it.
yeah.
That's our patrimony. We have a right to do whatever the devils we want with whatever we get. But they're not say the same thing for what they're doing. They are violating our constitution. They are violating our expectations or hopes and aspirations. They're doing any and everything. And because they are supposed to be the government, they're entitled to do what they want to do, even if it contravenes our interest, or even if we don't can't benefit from it, and even if they have to use the resource that they're supposed to be using to help us. Because when those people come in, their country not send no money to Belize to help Belize develop or to take care of those people who are in Belize. Those people come to Belize and they have to find a way, fight among the Belizeans, them to try and find a way to survive just like any other Belizeans. Okay? And in most instances, these people are given preferences, priority status, and priority access. And the children born there, and as born Belizeans, they are entitled to and all the benefits of a Belizean as well. But then the local Belizeans keep going deeper and deeper into the barrel. And that's my peeve. I don't mind, like I said, help everybody.
yeah.
Even that would be better than what we have right now, where they're only helping the other people. And that's
But,
great. That's not proper. It's not
well,
proper.
it is, it is important that we kind of find a way out of this bag that we're in, that traps us, so that we're not looking out for the citizens that has long been there, that has long been part of the fabric of the country. And I think in some instances why we see this happen, Mr. Brackett, is that because many of these individuals are themselves that occupy these echelons of power in our government at this point, are in themselves of a recent immigrant extraction of family. And they have no true regard and respect for the original people that were there, either brought there as slave and their descendants, or were indigenous and part of the very early settlement of Belize, or were brought there by the British or encouraged to come by the British, like the Chinese, and were asked to come also by the, like the East Indian,
Hmm.
uh, that were part of our early farming and mercantile community. So they see themselves with no sort of fidelity to them, and thinking that it it's just here, and we came, we took it, and these people said nothing. They didn't act in any way. In fact, there were overtures of giving to them, embracing them. And so now they totally disregard the fact that the Creole and these Garifuna and these other people that I mentioned were here long before, and are in fact entitled to the benefits of this country. But they don't see it like that. So they will offer it and give it away freely to anyone, and with no regard, and particularly if they can pocket something on the side in making that giving. So that is one of the unfortunate situation we face as a country and as a people, and that is partly due because we are not assertive. I'm talking about the Creole, the Garifuna,
Hmm.
and also our Mayan brothers and sisters. Then with, I mean, they have this thing going on right now with the communal land rights and so forth, and I wish they would kind of resolve to find a way to resolve that issue, so that we can in fact work together and embrace the issues that face the country with the black people, the Creole, with the Garifuna, because, and with the East Indian, because we're all being harmed by what's happening and the way things are moving forward at the moment, when we are, because the benefit, it may seem like there might be some benefit to the Mayans people by having, by saying communal land and so forth, but the claim is not going to benefit the native indigenous Belizean Mayan. It's going to benefit these people that are just walking over our borders, just
Hmm.
coming as recent citizens from their children, and as recent arrival to the country. The people that are have long endured, have long carried
Been pushed in the back.
yes,
Been pushed aside.
are not going to be the people that are getting the benefits. In fact, for the most part, those individuals that have long been part of the culturing of Belize and our culture are not fully participant in this communal land deal.
They don't
They are
want to do with it.
more settling to, let me get a piece of land, let me get a farm, let me develop my my individual interests on my own.
Hmm.
And so we're setting ourselves up for a lot of hurt and pain. And for one thing, I don't see, this was not what I wanted to talk about in general, but for one thing, I do not see the communal land issue working out as those people envision, and I do not see it working out to the benefit of the country of Belize in general, so far as how they pursue and pressure and press this that single issue on of communal life.
Well, part of it is because of some of the connivingness that's going on behind the scene. Okay, these people were given some assistance in terms of taking this matter through the different levels of the court system,
Hmm.
and were successful at doing that. And gradually, on top of the successes that they were having, they were incorporating other devious objectives. You know, and by trying to push those devious objectives, what they do is they allow the whole thing to go into a tailspin. And now that things are not working out the way it ought to have worked out or could have worked out, everybody's hollering. There was no need for them to come up with this idea after the ruling was made in their favor, to use that ruling as a maul over the head of the rest of the country. For them to say, well, the rest of the country needs to go and buy back those private lands from the private owners so that they can get it for free. That wasn't honest. I mean, that wasn't an honorable thing for them to do. But somehow or another, they figured that because of the ruling that said that they're entitled to some lands for them to be able to expand, you know, and they should have that right. Just like how Belizeans are supposed to have the right to get land, but the lands that are being given, they are not given them to Belizeans. They're sold to foreigners who come in with ready-made cash, and that's what the deal is. The real estate companies, they bring in people who wants to come and put up their little venture or their little business in Belize to capture part of the tourism industry. And as far as they're concerned, these people have a little money up front that they could spread around, and the real estate agents and the government officials, them and the government employees, them take their little kickback on the side and facilitate all these things being done. Some of these people that own some of
Well,
these lands,
when
they
we
never
talk
been to
about
Belize before.
kickback, I don't know if it's little because if you look at what the people at the customs were getting for a vehicle versus what the government was
They
getting,
were getting more in the government, yeah.
they were getting the majority
That's why
share
that's why we
of the
now have money
money.
in the treasury to pay with bills. And
So I
the
don't.
prime minister refused to do anything about it. Why? It's his department. Nobody should have had to be hustling with him to go and take care of his business.
Yeah. Well, I don't blame one minister for those type of thing, and at that
They're all of them
within
are a bunch of scoundrels.
within the customs department, we know that's a culture that goes back for the last 40, 50 years.
Sorry, the problem is that it's the whole country, all the government departments, big and small departments,
Yeah,
police, the courts.
yeah.
Can you imagine that our judges are self-impeaching when they are the ones that people are supposed to be run to get reprieve or relief? It's crazy. It's really, really crazy. I keep saying it over and over. Maybe I need to
Well,
find some way of expressing that.
yeah. You touch on the courts and stuff, and then it brings me to what I was thinking about the crime situation and the
Oh,
situation we just saw recently with that police officer with the violence against that child, and we wonder the temperament of these people, and
because
we also.
they're allowed to get away, so that's why they got that kind of mindset.
Yeah, and we also look at how this affects a young child, and why while I'm not going to ever call in this instance. I know the prime minister wife had spoken about it and thought they should fire him on the spot, it seemed, or something of the. She didn't say that on the spot, but
They
she
got to
thought.
make an example. They have to make examples of some of these criminals.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
but I that's fine. But I want to make sure that we do it through a proper procedure so that he does not come back and sue the government of Belize and the people are on the hook for paying money again. So if they're going to release him, they need to find the legal.
Chairman. If he want come back and sue the government, if the government fire him, but next time ask me if he go be the prosecutor. Next time ask me if he come be a special prosecutor. When I finish the but yeah, I'm glad
Yeah.
if he walk away with at
Well,
least a freedom.
well,
Okay?
yeah. Well,
That kind of crime
Mr.
that he
Brackett,
committed. No, that kind of crime that he committed. It's
Mr.
tantamount
Brackett,
to a capital
I
crime.
appreciate your offer. I appreciate your offer, and I'm sure. But I my
I'm
concern
just
is that
I'm being
often
facetious.
I know, but our government have found itself because we act with haste and without proper judicial process and the legal process. If there's a legal process through the Belize Police Commission, if there's a legal process through our courts or whatever to relieve him, because from what he demonstrated, he seemed to be totally unfit. He seemed to be, um, I wonder if he would act like that to a child. How would he act with someone in his custody and having some type of control
Those are
over
the
them?
those are the kind of behavior that these guys have been carrying on. They hide behind the law
Hmm.
and they commit crimes under the color of law. And there's no consequence to their actions or behavior, other than they get promoted.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
and
the
and
poor is rotten from the core.
Yeah, and it seems like the hands of our courts are tied because his wife or common law wife refused to press charges. Some people are thinking because it was on such public display, does the state have the country has the
Legal
DPP
obligation.
have a
There's a,
legal
there's a legal
responsibility
obligation.
to now represent the child
The
because
minor,
he was the
exactly.
one that we saw got abused in this instance, and we just
The
see this
mother,
cycle.
the mother cannot exculpate that guy's conduct and assault on that little kid, that 8-year kid. The mother has no jurisdiction in terms of exculpating him. She
Hmm.
cannot exculpate him as far as she having been beaten up herself right there and then that same night, not night, but the same time that we saw the video of, but she was beaten up. That's why the kid went after him with the bat. Because he was there beating
Well, I
on the.
don't know if he had beat her. I
That's
know
what
he was.
was happening, sir.
No, no.
That was
From
happening.
the
That's
tape,
why
he
the
was
kid,
talking loud to her, and but I didn't see him hit her. Did he hit her?
because the tape, that action was happening outside of the view of the tape, but the
Okay.
action was happening, is what I'm trying to say to you. That's what caused the little kid to go and grab the bat to go try defend his mother, because he saw his mother was in dire straits. And that was not probably the only scenario when violence had probably been done in that house. That kid at 8 years old, for him to have reacted so quickly,
Hmm.
a regular 8-year kid that is innocent and hasn't been exposed to that kind of behavior or environment there would not have been so quick on his feet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Split seconds.
Yeah.
And not only that, after that, he was uh, when the lady was when he was going after the little kid and the lady was coming behind, he went back after the lady and was threatening the woman again.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I did see that, but I didn't see him
A
hit her.
typical, he's a typical police bully who
Yeah.
hides behind the law.
Well, I think we saw enough to kind of gauge the character of his character to some degree about the type of person he is. And probably it points out he's not the type of person we'd want to be giving a gun or any type of law um, power to suppress and to manage other people that may be in his custody
Those are the kind
or
of
under
officers
his
that
arrest.
beat up people on the street, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
We have seen that over and over and over. But not only that, that lady, if she wants to stay in that relationship for whatever the reasons, social service should she her choice to stay in that relationship means that she has lost or given up her rights, you know, to keep that kid around. Because she don't have no right to have that kid be exposed to that type of violence and behavior. If she is willing to go along with that, the state needs to step in and do what the state's supposed to do on behalf of that minor.
Well, I'm sure that kid has a father somewhere too, so
Well,
there's
the father go and take the justice into his hand. What do you think will happen with that now again?
yeah,
Then he, the
yeah,
father, will become another victim of the society because
yeah.
then they will say, well, he don't have a right to take justice in his own hand. He should have waited for the court. But how you gonna get any justice if the man is a police officer that is being exculpated by the police department? Huh?
Yeah. No,
And
no,
the judge let the man off because he didn't know that judge never had no knowledge or experience or understanding to realize that yes, the woman have a right to not press any charges if she wish to, according to the law, but that she had no jurisdiction to exculpate him from any charges in regards to the minor. She can have it one way or the other. She can't have it both ways. She don't have no control over the guy, and she can't tell what could happen with her kid in her absence in that same home environment. Because no, this guy is going to suffer a whole lot of consequences as a result of what's going on. You think he won't have any kind of goodwill or will not entertain ill will towards that kid and the mother in the future, or that he won't just automatically change and become a saint overnight, and hereafter he won't, just no. The type of behavior that that guy
It's it's very unfortunate, and we see that type of issue, and sometimes we wonder what does drug abuse and addiction and those type of things have to
uh,
do with it, and we wonder when we because there's a big issue right now of a billboard that's in Belmopan that
uh-huh.
is showing a lady sprawled out and having a drink and and kind of bigging up alcohol, and we say, is there a right to individuals to have this as their choice, but how does it affect the broader community, and what sensitivity and what responsibility and what we should allow in terms of the public space, in terms of these encouragement.
There are rules in the society. That is why we have laws. That's the reason why we have rules. That's why we have ethics, morals. That's why we have a police force. To uh, the norms of the society needs to be adhered to. Otherwise, everybody should be able to just do what they want, and nobody should have any right to complain about any rights being violated because the person doing the violation should always be excused. You know, whether they were drunk, whether they were on drugs, or whether they were just malignantly minded. Whatever they do should be left alone. But because that's not the way the society, or at least our modern society, perceives the way we're supposed to carry on among ourselves, that's why we have the laws. And in this case, the fact that that guy was a police officer, to me, makes it all the more egregious. Okay, I will not give him no excuse to say, well, maybe he would have been drunk, or maybe he was under the influence of something else. He made the choice to be under the influence of whatever he may have been under if he was under some influence. At the end of the day, the act was committed, and you can't undo the act. The crime was committed, and it's not like the crime didn't happen. So therefore, because the crime didn't happen, or you can't prove the crime, that means he must be considered to be free and allowed to to go about committing the same crime over and over and over. And every time the crime get committed, you treat him the same way as the previous times. That's baloney. Otherwise, you might as well go and open up all the jails in the world and let all the criminals out. Because all criminals should be treated with same equality under the law.
Well, we know that we have a real crime problem in Belize, and we suspect there are various reasons for it, the gang, but then the social psychological impact of why people are where they are, the poverty condition, the family abuse. Just recently, I think um, it was the UN or some organization cited Belize for abuse of its children, having a very high rate of child abuse in our society. From various indicators was cited why this is the case, and
Part,
we look.
part of that, Mr. Chairman, part of that was because also why they blame the government or the system itself is because the government was issuing these bogus state of emergencies and picking up young kids off the street or from their homes and taking them to Hattiville and classifying them as being members of gang, when in fact they may not have been. And even if they were members of gang, the Constitution doesn't, the Constitution legitimizes the right for people to belong to gang or to organizations that look after their own interests. Under Section 12, I think it's either Section 12 or Section 13, it specifically says there that the government should not classify nobody as gang because they belong to any group that look after their own interests.
Yeah.
It's outside of the government purview. But these guys do that because they want to use the police force to commit the crimes, and then now they were called up. As a matter of fact, they were taken to court and they lost some cases, and they didn't appeal it because they didn't want to let the appellate court rule against them as well. Because once they rule against them, then other people could come and ask. You know,
Actually, they were found. The government was
one of the
found
guys
guilty,
died. One of the guys
and
died, and they never received the money.
yeah, yeah, and they were asked to pay some individuals
Mhm.
because of
The
these
egregious behavior.
these illegal detention that was made against them. But sidestepping that, it leads, the crime situation leads to many things. It leads to some people are abused, some people get abused by the government and the process, some people are willing abusers of others' rights through the violence that they carry out in the street.
Mhm.
It's a cycle. It's a cycle that is creating mayhem in the streets and is creating a great deal of angst and instability in the society.
I mean,
And,
just when was it? I think it was yesterday or early today that two people were leaving their jobs and they were gunned down right there, leaving their jobs. You know, I mean, why? Why? What is in our society so devious to the point that somebody they try to make a living and you're going to dispossess them of that of their whole life? Is
mhm,
it because you're jealous of them or because you want their job or I mean, what is it?
yeah. Well, it shows from what we're seeing is that the young people and our society have become so disregarding of life. They're taking it so with such meaninglessness and no regard for other individuals or even their own to some degree. Because
Hmm.
I've listened to how some people affiliated with gangs speak about the tenuousness of their existence in terms of, yeah, I don't know if I'll be here tomorrow or whatever, but they know what they're doing. And so it's like all on the edge that that they're living and they're executing people and they're expecting that at some point they'll
You wake
come
up
for
with
them.
them.
Come for
Karma
them.
with them.
Yeah. So what has made them so hopeless is what we need to kind of figure out, and where we need to get the help from counselors, from our government, from our social organizations that will help to bring about a consciousness and a hopefulness on these people that are saddled with so much. I sometimes wonder and think that um, maybe we need to find ways to, one of the things the government keep people in cluster and communities, and why we have been fearful of breaking up the constituencies and so forth, and dispersing some of the people into other areas that would allow them more livable space and livability, is because they fear that they lose votes. But
Hmm.
maybe they need to stop that shallow, short sighted thinking and start thinking on a national issue and the welfare of the nation, and start finding places that, in some of the greatness of land that we have, to set up communities that people could make themselves and their lives sustainable. Give them a little one, or not give, but make available to them through the normal process of leasing, a little 1 acre or 2 acre plot so that they can grow some food. And you can't just put them there and say grow some food. You have to provide the infrastructure, you have to provide the training, you have to
Mr. Chairman,
provide the resources.
on that same point you just brought up, I was listening to your program yesterday, you know, and heard you guys brought up that same point too. When Mr. Koi was mentioning about the fact that government should facilitate these people and leave it alone or something.
Yes,
When he was asking the other gentleman that,
Mr.
uh,
Wade.
yeah, Mr. Weird, that uh, that they're trying to get the land to get the young man who I think G might be
Well,
the
he has his land already. He has
uh,
his land already. I think he just
yeah,
needed
he just wanted a little machine,
a
to dig up the ground, to make it go
yeah, he
back.
wanted a weed cutter or some type of tilling
The,
machine
no,
or
the
something.
tilling, they have a little machine where you could just push it on the
Yes,
ground and dig up the ground for you.
yeah, yeah. But
Till,
you could make those things. You could make
yeah,
those
yeah.
things quite easily. And so
But
people need to just realize that you don't have to go out to the store and buy everything in that way. You could make that stuff relatively easy, and they just have to be a little bit ingenious, spend a
mhm.
little bit of time and go on YouTube and see how some of these things could be made that could give them a start.
Mr.
And
Chairman, um, could we hit another at least one more of your points then, and then we
yes, yes, yes.
another 5 minutes.
Yeah, okay. One of the things I wanted to talk about a little bit, Mr. Brackett, was on there is I know the unions are a little concerned about the mayors of Belize, the country of Belize, um, having the ability to get a pension after serving just 2 terms, which is probably like 6 years or 4 years. I don't know
Mm,
exactly what it works out to, but they are a little bit um, disturbed about that. And in fact, when it would take a worker of one of these councils 27 or 30 years before they qualify for a pension,
mm,
and they're getting 4, 5, 10 times what a typical um,
and benefits.
pension would be for a council for a municipal worker,
Uh-huh.
employee. So there is some concern about this proportionate um, level of time that must be served, and then also quadrupled by the amount of money that they can get from the system. So these are concerns that every union should have, and every society should have, when we try to equate fairness and and um, and and accountability in governance.
The society, our society in Belize, the country of Belize is so small, and the society, uh, those who are working or making a living or earning a paycheck, and those who are contributing positively to the development and furtherance of the country are so small a group of people that it's kind of unreasonable and unfair for the central government to have given these municipalities and local um, town boards or village councils as well the power to tax and to raise funds from all manner of whatever they could come up with, to the point where the government, central government, does not give the subvention to them anymore like they used to do. They expect them to go out there and hustle their own subventions so that the government could keep all the money that they used to take in for themselves and have enough for them to splurge and misuse you know. And then these people are coming now, like for example, Belize City Council and others, Corozal, on board and others. They want to get into the act of raising the town, the taxes. Belize, I think Belize City, they raised the taxes. In one instance that I'm aware, it was like more than 50%. Now, nobody in Belize is getting 50% salary raise every year or every 5 or 10 years or whatever. I mean, it just doesn't compute. So how do they expect to squeeze out, you know, that amount of resource out of the community without hurting people or without some people getting hurt? It's unfair and unreasonable. They're trying to take out much more than they could, than they should, because it's about themselves. They want to further their own personal retirement, and I don't have a problem with people thinking like that. But that don't mean that because you think like that, you're entitled, to have your thinking come into fruition, or that you, with the authority of the power of governance that is vested in you, whether local government or central government, that you should be so onerous as to squeeze the people in. You know, where the people won't get the money from? And when they can't come up with the money like you guys were talking about last night again, they can't meet the level of the taxation burden. So therefore, they get dispossessed of whatever other little bit they had. They're just being pushed further and further, you know, into impoverishment.
Yeah.
So these guys could live high on the hog.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Chair, Mr. Brackett, I don't have a problem specifically with local government having the ability to raise, to generate revenue through
My point is they
taxation.
overdo it, sir.
Oh,
I don't
no,
have a
no,
problem
no,
with that
I'll
either
get there.
because there's no they're not having too many ways to get the money to do the services of the of governance. I
Yeah,
understand that point. That's
yeah,
relevant, but
yeah,
not to the point of being so onerous and so greedy and so power greedy. I mean, anything you want to do, you could do to the people because you got the power to do so.
yeah. No, I agree with you,
That's
and
not solutions.
I was going to get to that. I have no problem with local government having the ability to generate revenue through fees and taxes and so forth. Um, I do believe that the charter that gives them that taxation right sets a limit of what your tax can be from year to year, and I think it could only go up like 10% per year.
That's what the prime minister had said when the question was posed to him.
Yes, yes.
But
So, so, so,
these guys are people for this year had to pay a tax before 1st of April, and most people were forced to pay that 50% increase in taxes because these guys, demanded it and put
yeah.
that on your bill.
I know. I
The
understand.
people
I
have to pay.
understand.
Are they going to get it back?
Well,
Because
they
they
should get it
want
back, or it should be a credit. They should be a credit. So there's no problem in my book that they have that ability, because we want to see the development of these local cities, and if the city leaders have the good intent and intentions of the people and the community and their municipality, then it takes resources to manage it.
yes, but they need to stop giving bodies then big concessions for millions and hundreds of millions of dollars over on 3 year and 5 year and 10 and 15 and 20 and 35 years concession while then they milk the people. That's why they complain. Oh,
Yeah, I agree that, but that's a
the
different story. That's a different from
money
the
is the
ability.
money is there to be had. Go and get it and do what you could do with it. Do the best you can.
Yeah,
That's good enough.
yeah.
But don't be playing hanky panky with somebody and give you at least something on the side that you could pack it. And then the people don't have the money, but you're still building for it. Create one situation where they end up the owe where they don't have or where they can't get. Some of them people they're not some of them people not gonna work.
No, I agree with you. But the idea of it and the idea of how we misuse it is two different things. And I don't see, because we misuse it, we should not have the opportunity to do it. We need to regularize it. We need to make it accountable. We need to hold the leaders and the people that abuse it in legal um,
Put them in some
accord, so that this does not happen. And I'm hopeful that over a short period of time here, we'll start making sure our laws to some degree work to in terms of financial crime, because it is true, the only people I see get issues as it relates to financial crime are very, very poor people. I saw I saw a mortuary owner gets remanded. I saw a man that walks into a store
Then
and
cut off the
stole
man here, you know. Then
a can of corn.
spitefully cut off the man here that the man spent so many decades to grow
Well,
because of his own personal whatever that he
yeah,
constitution allow him to have been able to,
yeah.
whether for religious reasons or just personal,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Well,
whatever. Chance
yeah,
the
that's
man.
a different issue. That's a different issue, Mr. Brackett. I'm talking about holding people accountable for crimes. We saw. I was talking about the mortuary
Uh-huh.
owner that was put in jail because he had owed taxes. I saw the
That's the
young
thing
man
I'm
that
talking about.
stole a can of corned beef and was put in jail. And I see many, many financial crime of great
Millions
uh,
of dollars.
cost to the nation and to the treasury and to the harmony of the country
Mm-hmm.
goes unpunished. I had brought up at some point the what I believe was a crime to some degree. It's not a real crime, but when you have a nation and the country would be willing to forgive millions, 30 millions plus dollars in tax revenue to some of the most privileged and elite people of the country, some resident in the country, some absentee landowners,
Mm-hmm.
and then you turn around and will try to make examples of the people that have the least, the people that have a little lot. You want to take theirs. The people that walks into a store and takes a can of corned beef and will hopefully go home and feed his family with it
Mr.
instead of
Chairman, but people should
finding
not resort to that if they were, if the government was being governed correctly, because there would be options or alternative. People could go to a
exactly
pantry and declare themselves in a situation and show that they're in that situation, and the government, from the
will
resources of
provide
our government,
the
should be able to
resources.
get somebody a little
Yeah,
bit of food to eat,
yeah,
so they don't have
yeah,
to go steal it. But people,
yeah,
that not happen. So people got to do the next best. Then go
yeah.
steal because they don't have another option.
Yeah,
And
and
stealing is, that's breaking the
that's
law.
what happened when we destroy our social welfare system that is supposed to be a means of assisting families in terms of creating the minister's handout that we have, prime minister's clinic or minister's clinic where he makes a little gift of
But the,
something. There's not a structured, organized way in which someone could go and ask for help
but Mr.
in that
Chairman,
immediate.
can I tell you that based on my personal experience with those gentlemen, they currently get a stipend, each and every one of them. Not only just the elected parliamentarians them for each district, for each division, even the opposition wants them, or the ones them that
Yeah,
didn't win.
everybody does. Every
They
every
get.
every constituent leaders get
Yes,
every
I'm saying
parliament
even
parliamentarian.
the ones them will never win. Out of the
Yes, every
62,
parliamentarian. And as long as you're a member of the National Assembly, you
oh, yeah,
get you get
and you know they give me a point because
No,
I'm
I'm
saying
getting your point. I'm saying yes, even
I'm saying that
the
yes,
opposition are member of parliament.
they do get even though the
I
opposition
agree. I
they are not.
agree. Yes.
That's not my point though. I'm trying to get beyond that. I'm trying to stipulate the point. My point is that those who win get, those who don't win get two, so long as they belong to the right party. And when they get the money,
You
they don't
don't
do
have to belong to the right party. You just have to be a member of parliament.
I passed that already, sir. That's what I try to tell you.
Oh,
And they
but you're
way
saying I
beyond that.
belong. Okay.
They're way beyond that. I agree with you 100% on that before, and I will try go on next week's part where I try point out something to you how onerous this process is. That is to say, those who are in parliament who belong to the party in government get their salaries and they get their stipends and their other side benefits. Those who are not in parliament because they lost their seat or they didn't win any seat, if they belong to the right or the correct party that is still in government, they are given subsidies as well. But the ones who are of the opposition do not get that subsidy. And then, besides that, The money that is given to them for the subsidy to take care of their constituents or to provide some relief to their constituents, all of it doesn't go to the constituents. Some of it is being kept on a personal basis. Some of it should go to the office that they run, right? To pay some of the staff or to give them something, some kind of benefits. I don't have a problem with that because that's politics and that's how it has been done for a long time and should continue to be done because then at the end of the day, the people are supposed to benefit from those money that comes from the treasury. But it doesn't always get to the people, is my complaint. That's the point that I was trying to get at just now. These jackals, they, they get the money to do the services to the people, but then take some of it to themselves or they give it to their favored people. They don't give it just to about anybody who come that needs some help. You understand? And that's what I'm complaining about because at the end of the day, it's public funds and it should go to just about anybody. I don't mind and give most of them partitions, I don't have a problem with that. But that don't mean that because you give your partition, you shouldn't give somebody that's not a member of your party or is not because people have to eat. Human beings have to eat. We don't burn and we're here already. And somehow or another, that's why some of these young kids then go out there, they go to school, they graduate from school, there's no jobs, there's not enough jobs to hire all of them. Some of them get into drugs or into whatever other devious things going on, you know, as a hustle to make money for themselves, for their kids when they have probably with their wife or their common law wife or with whoever or whatever, you know. And at the end of the day, the government should be trying to maximize the um, the economic situation in the country, so that as much as possible, the mass of the people or the most of the people get an opportunity, to survive or to make a living. Now, I'm not saying that the government should provide a job for each and every person because that's not feasible either. But just like how you could go and make agreement to give away 25, 30 years of hundreds of millions of dollars worth of concessions to some of these big companies, you could have some of these companies hire people from your community, let them use back some of the money that you're giving them free for some kind of public benefits. Even at that point, it would be a bit better than it is right now. Because right now, all those people are doing is taking all that extra money that they're supposed to pay in tax and putting it aside or sending it abroad in foreign accounts, or maybe buying more goods and enlarging their store, or maybe make 2 or 3 or 4 stores, and then you know everything is alright with them. And I don't have a problem with that either. If I must exaggerate, the problem that I have is that they are selfish. The people that really need are not being provided for. Uh, um, anyhow, I think we're gonna be on a limitation, but
Yeah.
I'll
Well,
yield back to my opposing, sir.
yeah. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Brackett. And
You're welcome, sir. You're
as this weekend comes, it's Sunday. It's going to be Mother's Day, and so I think we just want to say thanks and blessings to all the mothers. We know that you definitely had a good mother and grandmother from all your accounts, Mr. Brackett, and I
welcome.
did too. And many of the people out there are came from good families, good mothers and good fathers, and that's why we
I, I,
have
I wouldn't be
a
here
world
today.
that is, uh, yeah, we have a country and a world that is pretty much on the right track. But to go on the wrong track, it doesn't take a whole lot. ten
Mm,
percent of the people can throw things off. And
mm.
so, to all the mothers out there that have served the family well, we want to say blessings and happy Mother's Day to you.
Happy
And
Mother's Day to all.
yes, yes. So thank you very much. I don't know what show is this. Is this 434?
36.
36.
Yes,
So
sir.
this is our 436 program of Belize Current Affairs. And we want to thank you for all joining us this evening. And whether you were here with us in present live presentation or you'll be following up and listening to us at some future date, we thank you and we look forward to having your comments. So good night And this is Gregory Morrison. I turn it back over to you, Mr. Brackett.
Nice program, Mr. Chairman, and thank you again for gracing us with your presence and what you brought to the table, sir. I'm quite sure there are many people right now who will have the opportunity to listen to our program, who will be better off for having spent their valuable time listening to what you had to offer tonight. And thank you again for chairing tonight's program. And I'm happy to have the opportunity to sit with you and participate on your program. Looking forward to the next opportunity.
Thank
Uh,
you. And I always enjoy being in your presence and sharing this platform with you. And appreciate it when you give me the opportunity to bring on some of the items that I feel are relevant and necessary and a part of what we need to bring into the focus of discussion.
you're always welcome, sir, and thank you very much again too. And we'll say good night for now. Belize and Belizeans at home and abroad. This was the
436.
436th program. And we thank you and thank the Lord for the privilege to participate in it. Good night and good